Oh, football fans. Well, can you believe it? We're actually one third through the NFL season, and it's wild, especially the Jets camp. So let's talk about it. So, as we saw that Monday night, the Jets lost at home to the Bills. Now, here's my thing regarding the AFC East, because AFC East is kind of crazy. So the news came out that Tua's coming back. Yeah, Tua's coming back. I think the story is he may play as soon as week 8, I believe, which is next week. Because week 7's coming up. So, and when the Jets played the Bills, even with all the drama going on, I was hoping the Jets would win because, again, Bills fans have been too arrogant and racist for my liking. They've come. It's kind of personal with me because Bills fans have come after me. Number one, because of this, and um, number two, they don't like the fact that I defend Lamar. Bills fans don't see Lamar as a quarterback, even though he and Josh play the same way. Also, they can't. Also, they make excuses for their quarterback choking in the playoffs. They call Lamar a choke artist, even though he went farther than Josh last year in the postseason. And those same Bills fans scapegoated Diggs, even though Diggs was Josh Allen's meal ticket. And look how the Bills are doing without him; they're struggling. But why do you think they got Amari Cooper in that trade? Because they needed someone to fill that void. But anyway, so yeah, I was hoping for the Jets to win that game, and they didn't because Rodgers threw an interception that lost the game, and he goes out there and blames the receiver for it, even though it would have been messed up anyway. And of course, you've heard the news with the Jets; they got Devontae Adams. We all knew this was going to happen. So Rodgers got his latest toy. It's the New York Packers, folks. But remember, I don't know where they think I have all this power. Maybe because you took your bald-headed buddy with you, Nathaniel Hackett, and B, you got your ex-receivers with you, pretty much almost all of them. But remember, Rodgers has no power in the team. Sure. But, yeah, and, so maybe, just maybe, Robert Saleh wasn't the problem. I try to tell people that. They don't listen to me when they should. So, yeah. So again, here's my overall hopes for the AFC East now that that's over. Well, there's one more meeting left. Here's my hopes, though. I hoped for the Jets to win that game. They didn't. Unfortunately, Bills fans are going to use this to talk so much trash, even though they barely won that game and should have lost it. I hope Miami wins that division. I hope Tua stays healthy for one. That's most important. But I hope Miami wins that division because number one, Karma needs to get the Jets. Mainly Karma needs to get Rodgers and Woody mainly because they did Saleh wrong. They did. And number two, Karma needs to get Bills fans who thought Stephon Diggs was the problem and are unwilling to accept that Josh is a choke artist, and they hurl racist crap against Lamar. And when I defend Lamar, they actually tried to say we don't like Josh because he's white. Are you kidding? Ugh. So yeah, go Dolphins in that division. Anyway, elsewhere, the Eagles. The Eagles barely beat Cleveland, but that was enough for head coach Nick Sirianni to pound his chest and talk shit to the Eagles fans. My goodness. I mean, there's a time to chirp. There's a time to pound your chest. This isn't it. Really, the time to really chirp was week 1 when they beat us. But that was in Sao Paulo, and there's like different types of football fans. So we probably couldn't, but this wasn't it. Y'all barely beat a Browns team that was dying and had a quarterback that didn't have it anymore. And he's gonna chirp at Eagles fans because they wanted him fired, and rightfully so, because a lot of people say he's a lousy coach. Speaking of lousy coaches, Doug Peterson. What the flying hell was that in London? I mean, I know the Bears aren't the pushovers that they used to be for a number of years, but Jacksonville should have beat them. But yeah. So, and as I watched this, I immediately thought, the Jets fired Saleh for much less than this. And yeah, Jags fans want him fired too. I think next week's going to be the test because they play New England. That's one of those games because while the Bears aren't that big of pushovers anymore, the Patriots are. If the Jags lose that game at their second home, yeah, they're going to leave Peterson in England, probably where the hooligans are anyway. So yeah, the Packers picked up a big win. We showed Brock Purdy how to beat the big bad Cardinals. Seriously, Purdy is a lousy quarterback. Yes, he started week 6 by beating the Seahawks, but the Seahawks are kind of collapsing upon themselves, as is the whole NFC West. I mean, 3-3 is leading that division. Meanwhile, 4-2 gets you last place in ours. My God, my goodness. The NFC North is crazy. Look what the Lions did to Dallas. Oh boy, I really thought Dallas was going to beat them. They weren't even close, and now there's turmoil there. Though nobody's saying fire McCarthy. Well, people are saying fire McCarthy, but McCarthy's going to leave. I think he's going to get out of there because, Jerry Jones wants Belichick for some ungodly reason. Like I said, Belichick would be a good get if this was 20 years ago. So yeah, Houston got a big win in the AFC South. So did Indy. Indy won over Tennessee. The Chargers won over Denver. I think the Chargers are going to make some noise. They look pretty good. They look better than people thought they were going to look. Tampa Bay put up 50. The Steelers won in Vegas. That was a big win for them. They're keeping pace with the Ravens, who actually beat the Commanders. And yeah, Tony Romo, if you are watching this, it's the Commanders. I can't believe he called them the other name. My goodness. But yeah, yeah, it was a wild week 6, especially for me on fantasy. Now, I didn't do as well as I have been doing the last couple weeks, but 2 of my teams who were 1-4 entering that week actually won, so that's a good thing. Comeback trail starting. So anyway, that's my recap of week 6, and week 7 will start with the Saints and Broncos. Facing off of Thursday Night Football. It's in New Orleans, and the big storyline is Sean Payton's return to New Orleans as an opposing coach. I guarantee you he's going to get a standing ovation. I just know it. Again, as I mentioned before, we get a London game. I think it's the last London game because I think the next international games could be in like Germany. But yeah, Jags stay in London to face the Patriots, and if the Jags lose, I'm pretty sure Peterson's going to get fired if they lose that game. He has to be. Packers host Houston. That's going to be interesting. Battle of Ohio, Bengals and Browns. Loser's season is over, though I would think Cleveland's season is already over. Sunday Night Football. Oh, Super Bowl rematch this week. Niners and Chiefs at Santa Clara. That's going to be very good. That's going to be on national television, technically. That's the only game in the 4:25 Eastern, 1:25 Pacific spot. And Sunday Football, Steelers host the Jets. And we have 2 Monday night games. First off, the Ravens and Bucks face each other, and the other game is the Chargers and Cardinals. That game is exclusively on ESPN+. So that's my recap of Week 6. If you like this video, click the like button. You're on YouTube. Click subscribe if you want more. If you're on TikTok, feel free to hit that follow button. My story, recapping Week 6, will be featured. Check it out if you can. And in that story is a story about the NFC North and how good it is this year. So check that out, too. And I'll be back to recap Week 7 right around this time. And a recap of the LCS is coming when it ends. Hopefully it ends with the Yankees heading out to the World Series. It does look good. So stay tuned.